How to beat every trap in Saw 2. Saw is one of the most successful psychological thriller franchises to ever hit the market, so it's no wonder why it has ignited a deep fascination amongst the public. Hence the making of this video. Saw 2 picks up a short time after the first Saw. In the first film, we are introduced to a terminally ill man named John Kramer, known by his victims and following as the Jigsaw Killer, who tortured his victims in gruesome ways in order to teach them the gift of life. In today's video, we will evaluate and dismember every trap in Saw 2 and tell you how to survive, or at least escape them. But first, don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell so that you'll never miss one of our videos. The Death Mask. The victim of this trap was a police informant and former drug addict, Michael Marks. In Jigsaw's eyes, he was a quote, rat, a snitch, and this made him worthy to be tested. What is the trap? A leather harness is attached to the victim's chest to hold a mechanical contraption that Jigsaw calls the death mask of a Venus flytrap. The device consists of a front half and a back half, both with nails protruding from the inside. Once the spring timer is set off, the victim is given 60 seconds. Then the mask will meet in the center, puncturing the victim's skull with the nails. Mark is given 2 tools to aid him in his escape: a scalpel in a metal toolbox, and a key that has been surgically implanted behind his eye. How do you survive? The timer only starts once the pin is removed. Since Mark is aware of the trigger, he can be careful not to set it off. By using the scalpel, Mark could have cut the line and had unlimited time to get the mask off. From there, it would be a matter of getting to the hospital to have them remove the mask and the key. Instead, Mark panics, and the timer is set off. Even so, he still could have survived by sticking his head perpendicular to 2 pipes. The trap will go off and get caught by the pipes. The final way to escape is by using the cinder block that is located in the corner, which would work similarly to the pipes by keeping them from closing. The Nerve Gas House. The victims of this trap were Daniel Matthews, Jonas Singer, Gus Colliard, Addison Corday, Xavier Chavez, Laura Hunter, and Obi Tate, who have each been chosen for various reasons. Amanda Young also made a reappearance to pose as another victim, when in reality, Amanda is Jigsaw's accomplice, and she is making sure that everybody follows the rules. What was the trap? Inside an abandoned residential home, deadly nerve gas is dispersed through the vents. The doors are locked and reinforced with steel bars. In 3 hours, the doors will be unlocked, but in 2, they will succumb to the nerve gas. As the gas builds up in their system, the effects will start to take place and they will become disoriented and bleed through their nose and mouth. Throughout the house, there are several deadly traps that the victims must complete to get the syringes with the antidote that we will discuss later in the video. How do you survive? Though in the next room there is an antidote, even with short exposure to nerve gas, it can have long-lasting effects on its victims. By removing some of their clothing and stuffing it into the vents, it will lower the rate at which the gas spreads through the home. The next step would be to open any windows or doors. Even if they aren't able to escape through them, this will air out the house and hopefully prolong the amount of time they have until their exit is opened. This is extremely important because the more gas it builds up in their system, the more disoriented they will become. The Magnum Eye Hole. The victim of this trap was Gus Colliard. Gus was targeted by Jigsaw because of his drug use and alcoholism that he suffered with. A trait that Gus shared with the other 6 victims of the Nerve Gas House is that he was wrongfully convicted. What was the trap? In this trap, Amanda pretends to panic and search the room for a clue. She finds an instructional tape, along with a key and a message that tells them not to use the key to open any door in the room. If the key is used to open the door leading out of the room, a gun that is set up on the other side of the eye hole will go off. How do you survive? The solution to this challenge is quite simple. Follow Jigsaw's orders and don't use the key. If you don't use the key, the gun will not go off. The door later automatically opens, so while you're waiting, you can block the vents. Another way to survive would be to keep open communication about everything found in the house. Moments before Gus was shot, Addison Corday was looking through the hole. If she would have spoken up about it, he would have survived. The Furnace. The victim of this trap is Obi Tate. Tate was targeted by Jigsaw because of his dishonesty in defrauding to benefit his own goals. Tate was also an accomplice to Jigsaw, assisting him in the kidnapping of Laura Hunter before becoming Jigsaw's victim. What is the trap? Inside of a large metallic furnace, there are two antidotes for the nerve gas. Though one is free to grab, the other one is attached to a chain. Once the chain is pulled, the door to the furnace shuts and the furnace is turned on. The device then becomes locked from both the inside and the outside. How do you survive? Jigsaw gives up the answer to this trap in his message to Obi. This message states, quote, "Once you're in hell, only the devil can help you out." While in the furnace, we are shown the image of a cartoon devil next to a valve. This would have turned the gas off. There are also valves on the outside of the contraption, which may have turned off the stove. Obi would know, seeing as he was fiddling with them just a few moments before entering the furnace. This sparks a lot of controversy in the Saw fandom. Some saying that it was Obi's choice to die, since he didn't notify the others. But we disagree, as Obi made a point to say that one of the antidotes was for him. Most likely, his panic and the gas got the better of him, and he couldn't think straight. The Needle Pit. The victim of this trap was Amanda Young, even though it was originally designed for Xavier Chavez. Amanda Young is a former drug addict, while Xavier Chavez was a drug dealer. What is the trap? This room was located on the upper floor of the nerve gas house. Inside of this room is a pit filled with thousands of dirty, used needles. There are two doors within this room, a wooden one that you enter through, and a metal door located at the back of the room. In this room, there is an antidote to the nerve gas, but the key to the door is buried amongst the needles, a representation of the people that Xavier was harming by selling the drugs to them. Amanda is thrown into the pit by Xavier and is expected to find the key. How do you survive? Both Laura Hunter and Jonah Singer are wearing jackets in the movie, and there are multiple blankets in this room. By wrapping herself in these and putting shoes on her hands, Amanda could have prevented herself from being punctured so many times. By using one of the blankets, Amanda could separate the needles that she's already gone through to make the search easier for her. While she's sorting through, someone else could try to pick the lock with one of the needles. The Razor Box. The victim of this trap was Addison Corday, who was selected by Jigsaw because of her prostitution. She was also wrongfully convicted by Detective Eric Matthews. What is the trap? In this trap, there is a large glass box suspended from the ceiling by 4 glass chains. Inside the box is a syringe filled with the antidote to the nerve gas, but the syringe is glued to the floor of the box. To enter the box, there are 2 holes big enough for your arms, but they only allow you to safely put your arms in. Once pulled out, they cut into the victim's arms. The more you pull, the deeper the blades cut. In Addison's disoriented state, she fails to notice the lock on the side of the box that already had the key inside of it. The symbolism behind this trap is that Corday's actions were harming herself, and the more she tried to escape from them, the more damage it caused. How do you break free? The answer to this is simple if you follow the directions from earlier and close the vents. Simply twist the key and unlock the body. But what if you didn't and put your hand or hands in the box? It's still possible for you to survive and get the antidote. Since the blades work in a folding mechanism, if one is pushed open, the rest will follow, and you will be able to safely grab the syringe, but be careful. Since the syringe is glued down, you must bend the syringe to its side until it is released. Eric's test. The victim of this test is Detective Eric Matthews, who is also the main reason why the 7 victims were placed in the nerve gas house in the first place. He planted evidence to wrongfully incriminate the 7 victims, which landed them in prison. What was the test? In this test, Detective Matthews must simply sit and talk to Jigsaw, whose real name is John Kramer, in order to survive and to get his son back safe and sound. Instead, he goes back to the nerve gas house and discovers that the video wasn't live footage, but instead a recording of what had happened hours beforehand, and that his son is safe and sound back at Jigsaw's hideout. How do you break free? Yes, Jigsaw is a cruel man who is both physically and mentally ill, but he is all about playing fair. If you ever found yourself in a predicament with Jigsaw, your best bet would be to listen to him very carefully, as he doesn't bluff. At the end of Saw 2, Matthews assaults Jigsaw in order to find out where his son Daniel is. Little did Eric know, Eric would find himself as part of a trap, and this would be the last time he would be seen for months, as he himself would become a hostage. Back at Jigsaw's hideout, Daniel would be set free, as he was there inside the safe the entire time. In the next movie, we will show you what happened to Eric and where he has been. Do you think you could survive? Can you think of any other ways to win or break free from these traps? Let us know in the comments. Remember that the most important step to surviving a saw trap is avoidance. Make sure to cherish life. Hey you! Yeah, you! You like this video? Great! We got another one for you that we guarantee you would like. All you have to do is click on the screen. It's free and without any hidden fees, but you have to click fast because this message will self-destruct in 5 seconds.